Welcome to the first video in a long series of how to draw manga boys. Today we're going to do something very basic, but will turn out looking very professional, like it's drawn by a more advanced artist. We're going to take this slowly, step by step, and I'll make it as easy as possible. And in case you haven't already noticed, this video is going to be rather long, so prepare yourself for that. Okay, I've marked how high I want this whole image to be. It's basically just going to be the boy's face, neck, and some of the shoulders, and we're going to focus a whole lot on the hair. That's going to be our main focus, but I'm going to tell you how to do the face. As usual, the face will be made up mainly of a circle, but this time we're going to start with something different. We're going to start with a cross sort of shape. As you can see, this first line is not straight up and down. We don't want it to be. We want it to look natural. And straight up and down lines are usually not very natural. So this is the center of his face. And it doesn't really matter where yet, but try to keep it low between these two lines, sort of low. We will have another line. And this is a cross, but this line here needs to be curved. So the curve needs to be pointing downwards. This will show us in what direction he's looking, where the center of the face is, and where the eyes are to be placed. The fact that this line curves down shows that he is looking down, since this line is the eye line and wraps around his face. If he were looking up, it would curve up. And if he were looking straight at us, the line would be basically straight from side to side. This line is the center of his face. We're not really doing an off to the side view here. It's basically a front view, just tilted down slightly. So that's what this line is for. We'll mark the top of the line and the bottom of the line, and this will show us how big the head will be. Now that we have all of these guidelines down, it's time to put in a circle. So start from the top of this line. I'm going to connect it to make things a little clearer. Okay, start from the top of this line here and draw a circle. This circle should go below the curved line and come out slightly from the sides of it. The trick is to do a lot of very loose lines and then go in with your eraser and take away the outer ones until you have the shape you need. And I'm going to darken the edges of this circle that I have chosen. And that is our circle base for the head. I'm going to connect these curved lines around it. And now you can see how this is starting to become a face. Alright, now that we have the top part of the face, let's go down to the jawline. This is about where the jawline is going to be. His face may not end up being this long, but we want to have this line here just in case we want it to be that long. You see, there needs to be a certain distance between the forehead and the eyes and the chin for it to look natural. This all varies based on what your art style is, but I'm going to go for a basic art style here. Okay, we have these two slightly curving lines coming off of the angle of the circle, like this. And we'll just bring these down straight, carve them out later. From what I see, this looks like a good length for the face. So I'm going to erase everything below that. So now we have how long the face is going to be. So now it's time to shape it properly. Let's erase this. So we have the eyes placed here, the nose here, and this is where the jaw begins. So this is where it's going to slope down, and normally the place the jaw begins is like a little below the circle. So you see here's the line where the circle, bottom of the circle is, and that is usually where the jaw starts. So we're going to make some curved lines down from that. Okay, I'm going to erase a lot of these guidelines now. And now we have a good basic face shape. We're going to continue to edit this to our liking. But for now, there it is. Something important to know about the head is that it does not look like this. The top of the head does not smoothly come down and join the side of the face and then the jaw. The head, and you can see this when you're drawing a side view, like right here, the head juts out farther than the jawline does. This is the side of the face, and this is the head behind it. So we need to give that impression not only on the side view, but on the front and three-quarter views as well. So let's do that by making this end of the circle come out more. And then we'll erase the inner lines. The place where the outer curve of the head meets the jawline will be where the ears are placed. For older characters, the ears are placed higher up on the head. So since this is an older character, we're going to prepare for the ears to be higher up and raise this point of the circle up here. Now on a true front view, we would not be able to see this slight outer edge of the head, but we need to be aware that it's there. Okay, that is the basic outline of the face. Now let's put in the neck. I've put the line for the neck here as opposed to dead center in the head because he's leaning slightly in this direction, and also his neck will attach where the ears go, which means we're going to see where it attaches somewhere in this area. So I've put this guideline close to where we're going to be drawing the neck. You can do whatever you like when drawing necks, but I'm showing you my easiest way of doing it right now. Okay. So this is really basic, this neck here. We're not going to add much detail, we're just having it slightly lean over there. So for now we'll leave it at that and go back to the face itself. So right here we're going to have an ear. So let's see, the top of the ear will be about where the eye line is, and the bottom will come just a little below this point where the back of the head connects with the jawline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the lines back here just a little, make things easier for me to see. Okay. So let's just draw an oval shape right here. It's sort of like an oval that is leaning out to the other side of the head. Oh. That keeps happening to me. Okay. Right. So we have this oval that's leaning out from the head, and what we want to do is get this edge and point it up higher, then curve it down low. You want this to be a gentle curve or he'll end up looking like an elf. Of course, if that's your intention, that's good. From there, it comes down comes sort of straight and then comes in again. Right here, it curves. So that's our second basic outline. From there, we're going to carve it down still further. We're going to make it come in a little. And we're going to make it come in a little more because I want to give the illusion that his ear is pointing back that way. So if we make it thinner, it looks like it is back in the other direction. Of course, on a realistic picture, the ear would not seem to jut out much since our ears lay out flat against our heads. So I'm gonna get a ruler. So just a moment. Okay, ruler. Now, this will show us where the other ear will go. And yes, even though this is a slightly front three-quarter view, the other ear will be visible, so we need to know where to place it. Now, this ruler is straight up on the page. So it says that his ear would be right here. But that doesn't look right. That's because that isn't taking into account that his head is not straight up and down. It's tilted a little. So we need to remember that when we put in the other ear, which means that it will be more around this point. The other ear will not be visible much. It'll just be a little thing jutting out just slightly like that. Okay, those are the ears. I'm going to darken the outlines of the face so that we can see it more easily. Also, a tip about chins. If you want your character to seem delicate or sensitive or, you know, like Bishi, a sharply pointed chin like this without a lot of definition in the jawline is the way to go. But if you want your character to look like super strong and manly and stuff, we would go for a sharper chin and a smoothed out or squarish chin there. Sharper jawline. Did I say chin? I meant jawline. Sharper jawline here, like a square, and then a rounded off chin. Rounded off chins also work for small children at times. Okay, going to erase a little bit more, just for good measure. Alright, oh, the sun is on my drawing now. Hope that doesn't affect anything. Okay, I'm not going to put details on the ear just yet. Right now I want to focus on the face. So, let's follow this line down, and the eye line, I'm moving it down a little bit so that it'll feel more natural, since that original eye line had it going straight when his head is tilted at an angle. Tilting the heads at an angle is a good way to give your drawings some instant life. You could use tilting head at an angle to seem shy or insecure, or, you know, like innocent, like when the manga girls tilt their heads and look up at you with their giant eyes. Or you could have a menacing character tilting their head and it won't look like that because it looks like they're leaning in a threatening way. So that's something to keep in mind. Tilting the head is a human motion, and in putting that into your drawing will really help make it look more natural. Okay, now it's time to look at the placement of the features. The eyes will stop around here, so we sort of follow the jawline up, and the eyes will be in this place. This character is going to have sort of small, you know, like sort of mature eyes, and they will be placed in this area here. Okay, so like half an inch up above the original line and about half an inch below. And we have a space in the middle that is a little more than an inch high, I would say. And to prove it, here we go, 1 inch. Okay. I'm going to erase the rest of these because I just don't like a messy drawing. So, yeah. Okay, time for the eyes. I'm going to draw an eye down here so that you guys can see what goes into drawing the eye. First we'll make an upper curve and a lower curve and a circle in the middle. The circle tends to touch the top more than it touches the bottom. If you have the circle touching the bottom, it'll make your character look crazed. So like a villain or a yandere, that's a good touch to have the pupil on the bottom lid. But if it's not supposed to be a crazed character, try to keep the pupil touching the top. Okay, now we take this curved line and we straighten it out a bit. And we do a curve inwards on the other side. Then we take a line leading up to this because we're outlining the whites of the eyes, and we drag it over to the other side of the eye, but we don't touch it. This is a trick used often in manga. Putting a lot of breaks in the line makes it look more interesting. So to signify one single lash, I have brought down this edge of the eye but let the top layer keep going. For the upper eyelid, it could be just a basic line, or to add some flair, you could have it be sort of a folded eyelid like this. You draw a line sloping upward more, and then you draw a line from it like the other one. So that is our male manga eye, and I'm going to be applying it to this character right here. So now that we understand how the eye is built, let's do it. We have our top curved lines. We have the line curving out from the side. And we have our bottom line. We have the pupil at the top. And we have the feeling that this eye is out of place. Yes, I see that I did stray out from this line. So that's why that eye seemed out of place. You don't want your eyes to be too far apart or too close together. Try to keep it uniform. Okay, now we have the basics of these two eyes. And they look pretty uniform. They look like they're meant for the same face. They seem to match up pretty well, so I'm pleased with that. Now that we have established where the eyes are going to go, this bottom line is no longer necessary, so I'm going to erase it. Okay, now let's erase the top lines as well so that we can see where we put the upper eyelid and the eyebrows. I'm going to go with the folded eyelid. And then eyebrows that are curving down a little bit. This will make your male characters, or any character, seem a little tougher if they seem to be scowling just a little bit. Also, if they have a smile or something like that, like a smirk, they can seem cynical or just plain sarcastic, threatening. It can make them look like a bad guy if you want. So that is our basic stuff down for the eyes. So let's get rid of this middle line and slightly erase it down here. Well, actually, let's erase it entirely because we know where the middle of the face is going to be now since we have the eyes in place. So now let's do the nose. There are many different ways of doing the manga nose. You could go from all the way down. You could just have a line here and another here. for the bridge of the nose and then the bottom of the nose. You could have a perky nose, or you could have my favorite sort, which is just the bottom of the nose split up into two parts. So that's how it would look, not on his face necessarily, but on another face. I'm going to style that up for his face. So to make the perfect nose, I draw a curve down from the eyebrow. And you can see this done on photos of people. You can see this technique. I don't know, would you call it a technique if it's in real life? But yeah, especially on photos of women, you can clearly see the connection between the eyebrow and the bridge of the nose. So I use that, bring it down, and then the bottom of the nose would be right here. Okay, since we have that, I want to draw a tiny spike on this side to show the nose pointing up a little. And that is our manga boy nose. There's a big storm coming. Okay. Okay, now for the mouth. He's not really going to have much of an expression. We'll just do a closed mouth. But I'm a perfectionist about mouths, so this could take a while. Basically, I'm just going to draw a straight line from jawline to jawline, and then I'm going to erase the center of it to... The reason this is done, this center piece left blank in so many drawings, is because it's supposed to signify where the lips would dip in, right there. Because the part where the lips dip in would be in shadow, therefore obscured from view, so that's why it's done like that. So now, using that information, I'm just going to make his mouth. It's going down on this side slightly, because he's frowning a little. And then, below his mouth, I put his lower lip, which is just a tiny line right there. And that is that for his face. You can see I've left a lot of blank space right here. That's because there is a big amount of space between the eye and the ear, and a lot of hair is going to fall there. So we need to be prepared for that. I'm going to clean up this drawing real quick. Okay, now it's time to do the hair. As always, I'm going to start where the part will be. And the main part in the hair, I usually put it right here. So I'm going to signify that by a line, tilted slightly through this part of his head. Something to remember when doing the hair is that the head is a curved surface. So we need to keep that in mind and have the strands of hair curve down when they fall over it. Remember, curves make things seem more natural. This drawing does not seem to have even one straight line. So, curves. That's the secret to drawing stuff. Alright, next we're going to look at the outline of the hair. How big do we want the hair to be? How far do we want it to fall down? We're not going to look at the part that covers the face yet. We're just going to look at the outer edges. So starting from here, I'm just going to draw a big circular thing and bring it down behind the head. On this side, I want it to be a lot closer to the head, so I'm going to carve that out and bring it closer, following the same curve but smaller. So that is the basic shape for this guy's hair. I'm also going to bring this top down a little. Since his hair is not curly or anything, it's just going to fall down against his face and the back of his head and his neck. This hair length actually seems a little long on a guy, but this is how long his hair is going to end up being, all of the long strands included. The main body of his hair stops here, just below the ears. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's keep moving, doing the, well actually first, before we do the hair, I want to get the face done because this is going to be a little difficult to work with once we start on the hair. So I'm going to work on the face and neck. This right here is the Adam's apple, so it helps to show that your character is male. Of course, it also works if you put it like this, another line over here, or just this line. I think I'll go with this line right here. I like it more for anime style stuff. The Adam's apple shown in that curve is more common with American style cartoons. So, yeah, I'm going to finish up the rest of this face and the ear. There are many different ways to draw the ears. This is just my way. So you should find, after learning this way of drawing ears, you should find your own way, because once you have your own style of drawing ears, it'll really mark your drawing as your own, and it'll look more natural and feel more natural for you. I'm going to have a whole video on drawing manga eyes for male characters, so I'm going to go through really quickly and do these eyes without much explanation. Manga male characters also tend to have thicker eyebrows. The thicker the eyebrows, the tougher the character. Okay, now we have all of the face and stuff done. After I do a little bit of cleanup work, we'll be ready to start on the hair. Okay, time to do the hair. The important thing to remember about hair, other than that it has to curve around the head, is that every strand you have to show that it is being affected by gravity. So while it will curve around his head like this, unless it's a really outrageous hairstyle that will suggest that this guy probably spends a lot of time styling his hair, or just that it's a style of manga in which the hair is a little unrealistic, but we're going for a realistic here. So even though this is going to curve around the head like this, some of the strands will not do exactly that. They will be trying to come straight down. Alright, a basic hairstyle for manga, on males and females, is to have a large strand coming down right between the eyes, and then strands on either side. So we have these giant strands here, and it's not very detailed, but we need it there like that so that we can see where to place everything else. Start out with the big stuff first and work your way into the finer details. Okay, what I've done here is I curved out the center. I curved it out and then I brought it back in. This makes it look like it's thicker at the top. It has more body, but then when it comes down and there's less and less hair, it gets thinner. Okay, remember this place where the hair is supposed to be parted? It now directly matches up with this main part. You might think that this isn't the main part because we also have a big opening here, but these two lines are curving in different directions. This one curves inwards and this one curves outwards. So that's important. This is not exactly apart because the lines are curving in the same direction. So from this part, we'll make it more dramatic and add a line back here. This shows that not only does it branch out from here, but it also branches out in the back, which is an important detail. Okay, let's start with the front of his hair. So what we're going to do is break up this main strand. Let's follow the curve and make a strand that comes out like that. We'll follow the strand again, make another one, and then a small one on the outside edge. Right here, we'll do the same thing for this main curl. We'll make a small one on the outside, one that curves more right here, and then a straighter one down there. What we're doing is elaborating on these existing curves, adding more detail. They all follow basically the same curve, but they do a slightly different thing. Okay, this part of his hair is going to need a lot more going on. So I'm going to put a curve of hair or a curl that isn't exactly following the pattern right in the middle, and another like that over here. Okay, time to do it again on this side. And we are not going to keep all of these lines. You see how everything is orderly, laid out in a distinct line pattern? We're not going to keep it like that because it's far too orderly. It doesn't look natural anymore. So after we've finished getting the main idea laid out, we're going to get rid of most of these lines and just have this messy style suggested rather than laid out to us. This is something used with writing books also. Suggest things that happen, show, don't tell. Well, with this, we are showing, but we're not showing everything. And that's going to make the drawing look cleaner and be a lot nicer to look at. So what I've done here is I have drawn curves along this main plan of ours, and they taper into tiny spikes at the base of the neck back there. So this front piece is kind of wavy, kind of looking like he must be a really, really nice guy, and while that's not bad, I don't want it to be quite so wavy. So I'm going to cut down a little bit on the curving. And I'm going to make it spikier. A spiky hairstyle usually means a tough character, and even if this guy is nice, I'm making him look manly by having his hairstyle kind of spiky. I'm going to put a strand of hair in front of his ear just for good measure, just to look like he really doesn't do much with his hair because it's all over the place. Alright, now it's time to get rid of some of these lines. You can just erase whatever you think you should erase, but the pattern I'm following is I'm starting at the top of the line that I want to minimalize, and I'm erasing down until that line is needed to show some detail. So that's my principle here. I'm leaving only the bare minimum of what's needed. Everything else goes. Alright, that is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this video. Leave me feedback and requests in the comments below. And I am really excited. I'm looking forward to doing this series because I really enjoy drawing male characters. And for whatever reason, there are not a lot of videos on how to draw them, or even books on how to draw them in the manga world, so I'm glad to be able to add to that. So, yeah, keep an eye out for my new videos, check out some of my old ones, and have a nice day.